Part 1. The pattern underneath. There's a moment every man hits after a breakup, that cold silence when the truth finally lands. The person who promised to love you could still walk away and feel entitled to everything you built. And brother, that realization changes something in a man. It shakes him awake. Every divorced man carries a story like that. Not because he hides it, but because it still sits heavy in his chest. And when you really listen, you notice something unsettling. The faces and timelines change, but the pattern underneath is always the same. You hear about the ex who walked away but still reached for the life he paid for. The one who cheated but cried in court like she was the victim. The one who left for someone else and somehow blamed him for the fallout. After a while, it stops looking like chaos and starts looking like a script written long before he ever saw the ending. Most of us don't see it coming. We trust too simply. We assume loyalty means fairness, but fairness is a language not everyone speaks. I remember a man who spent a decade building a business from nothing. Long weeks, long nights, all grind. His wife didn't work, not because she couldn't, but because she didn't want to. And when she left, she said, "I was there. I deserve half." To her, presence was contribution. That's when it hits you. Some people believe your success belongs to them simply because they stood close enough to benefit from it. Safety, stability, consistency. The things we think protect a relationship become the things they stop valuing once they no longer need to earn them. And the betrayal doesn't start the day she leaves. It starts the day she quietly decides you owe her a life she never helped build. Brother, if this feels familiar, stay with me. What you're about to hear next might save you from repeating the same storm. Part 2. The fantasy and the fall. No one tells you this about the person who walks away. Most of them don't leave for a better life. They leave for a fantasy. They build a picture in their head where freedom fixes everything. The next relationship is effortless, and happiness is waiting the moment they step out the door. They believe it so deeply that anyone who doesn't fit that picture, especially you, becomes the problem. I've seen it so many times. Someone leaves expecting applause, expecting the world to reward them for choosing themselves. But life doesn't clap. It tests. When the silence hits, when the bills pile up, when the loneliness crawls into bed with them, the fantasy starts to crack. One man told me his wife left him for a coworker. She walked out like she'd outgrown the life they built. New romance, new freedom, new chapter. 6 months later, the coworker dropped her. Suddenly the calls started. Suddenly she remembered how unhappy he made her, as if she needed a villain to justify her story. That's the thing about people who leave chasing fantasies. When the dream collapses, they rarely look inward. They look for someone to blame. And it doesn't stop there. When they see you rebuilding, see you calm, see you becoming someone stronger than the man they left, something shifts in them. Not because they want you back, but because your growth ruins the narrative they used to justify walking away. They expected you to fall apart. They needed you to fall apart. Your strength makes their choice look foolish. So they circle back. A like, a message, a question through a mutual friend. Not out of love, but out of discomfort and ego, and fear that you're proving they misjudged you. Eventually, clarity hits you. They're not drawn to who you are now. They're drawn to the version of you that kept them comfortable. And once you see that clearly, you stop getting pulled back into a role you've outgrown. The truth is simple, painful, and freeing. Some people don't miss you. They miss the control they had when you didn't know better. Part 3. The backup plan and the slow drift. Once you understand the fantasy, the next part becomes clearer. The part most men miss while they're still inside it. People rarely leap without a net. They don't step into the dark unless they're already reaching for another hand. That's why the end never feels like a clean break. It feels like a slow drift. It starts small. The distance, the coldness, mood swings that don't match the moment. She picks fights over things that never mattered before. She acts restless, like home is suddenly too tight, too quiet. You tell yourself it's stress, work, something you can fix if you just try harder. That's what good men do. They try. But looking back, the pattern always shows. She wasn't pulling away because she was lost. She was pulling away because she was already leaning into someone else. It doesn't always start with cheating. It starts with a friend, a little extra attention, a message she tells herself is harmless because she needs it to feel innocent. But it's not innocent. It's the beginning of the exit. Some people don't leave relationships. They transition out of them. And when that backup plan fails, because it usually does, that's when she circles back. Not because she sees your value now or understands what she broke, but because she's afraid of facing her choices alone, afraid of sitting with the consequences without a soft landing. You hear it in her voice, the sudden softness, the fact nostalgia, the hints about better times, the new concern about how you've been. But if you really listen, there's no love under it. Just fear. Just regret. Just the quiet panic of someone who bet on the wrong future and wants you to make it hurt less. That's when a hard truth settles in your bones. She didn't leave because you weren't enough. She left because she thought she had something better waiting. She comes back only when she realizes she never did. It's sharp. It stings. But once you accept it, something shifts in you. You stop romanticizing what was. You stop wishing she'd stayed. You stop thinking you could have fixed it. You see what you were never meant to see. She never jumped. She swung from one branch to another and expected you to stand there in case it snapped. And brother, you're not that safety net anymore. Part 4. The Dating Mirage. Once you see that pattern, the drifting, the backup, the quiet leap, you start to understand why the next chapter hits so hard. The world they imagine outside the relationship almost never matches the world they step into. A lot of them act like leaving resets the clock, like they're young again, with endless options. They expect attention, desire, a fresh start that feels like a movie. But time doesn't rewind just because someone decides they want a do-over. The dating world has a way of showing truths they've been avoiding for years. I knew a woman who left her husband because she felt unseen. She believed life outside the marriage would be brighter, louder, full of men lining up to choose her. She was in her 40s, 3 kids, and a heart full of resentment she never faced. Reality hit her bluntly. The men who showed up mostly wanted easy fun or rescuing. Nothing was better. Nothing was new. Nothing matched the fantasy she chased. After 2 years of bad dates and wrong choices, she circled back to her ex. Not because she suddenly loved him, but because he represented stability she didn't appreciate until it was gone. By then, he'd moved on. He'd healed, grown, and found someone who treated commitment like something sacred, not a phase to escape. What hurt her most wasn't losing him. It was losing the version of him who would have still taken her back. That's when regret stops being loud and dramatic and starts becoming quiet and heavy. The kind that sits with a person when they realize they traded something real for something imagined, and reality refused to stand on their side. And watching from the outside, that's when you truly grasp the power of simply not going back, of putting one foot in front of the other and refusing to walk in circles. Part 5. The Jealousy of Your Growth. Once her new world stops shining and the noise fades, something else begins. Slow, quiet, almost invisible, unless you know what you're looking at. She starts watching you, not openly, not honestly, just from a distance, the way someone does when they don't want to admit your life still matters to them. It starts with small things. A liked post, a typed then deleted message, a question dropped into a mutual conversation. She's not checking on you, she's checking where you landed. Here's the part most men don't see until later. Your healing threatens her more than your anger ever did. Anger means you're still tied to her. You're still reacting, still emotional, still invested. Healing means you're stepping out of the story she wrote you into. It means you're becoming someone new, without her. That's what she never planned for. I've seen men drop the weight of a broken marriage, get strong again, rebuild their money, rebuild their sense of self, and almost like clockwork, the ex drifts back into orbit, testing, prodding, trying to see if there's still a door open. Not because she truly wants him now, but because his growth forces her to look at what she walked away from. That's what jealousy is in moments like this. It's not about wanting you. It's about wanting the version of herself she hoped she'd become by leaving you. When she sees you becoming the man she bet someone else would be, it cuts into the story she told herself about why she left. And the most ironic part? The moment she realizes you're happier without her is the moment she acts like she lost something rare. But by then, you've learned what she hasn't. Your life didn't end when she left. That was the beginning. And nothing stirs more jealousy than a man who finally understands he's free. Part 6. Blame and Rewritten History. The strange thing is that jealousy never shows up alone. It brings something familiar with it: blame, denial, and the quiet rewriting of history. The second she sees you rising, sees you steady, sees you no longer waiting at the bottom, she needs a story that keeps her from facing herself. And the easiest story is always the same. You're the reason it all fell apart. I've watched people who cheated turn themselves into heroes and victims. I've seen people who neglected their families talk like they were the ones abandoned. I've heard lines like, "You made me do it, and you pushed me away," from mouths that never once owned the damage they caused. It's amazing how fast someone can twist their own actions into something that feels justified. But blame is easier than accountability. Victimhood is easier than reflection. Rewriting the past is easier than admitting the future didn't turn out like they planned. One man told me his wife cheated on him with 3 different men. Every time she got caught, she cried and said the same thing. She wouldn't have done it if he'd made her feel special enough. Meanwhile, he was working 2 jobs to pay for the life she insisted on. He was holding the world together while she looked for excitement outside of it. That's when it hits you. Betrayal isn't just the act. It's the story they tell afterward to clean their conscience. They can't handle the weight of what they destroyed, so they turn you into the cause. Not because it's true, but because it lets them sleep. Once you really see that, you stop swallowing their version of events. You stop letting their guilt sit on your shoulders. You stop apologizing for things you never did. The truth doesn't need to shout. It just waits for you to stop believing lies spoken with tears. Part 7. Money, Control, and Unwanted Wars. After the blame comes something heavier, the part almost no man is ready for. When love dies, some people don't walk away with their hands empty. They reach for whatever power they still think they can hold. And often, that power is money. Suddenly, everything becomes a battlefield. Not because they can't survive without your support, but because financial leverage is the last form of control they have left. I've seen people who spent years relying on a partner panic when the safety net disappears. They don't miss the relationship. They miss the lifestyle, the rent being paid, the car being covered, the comfort of knowing someone else carried the weight. When bills start arriving with their name on them, fear shows up wearing the mask of nostalgia. They remember the good times right when payments are due. They talk about what we had when their accounts run dry. It isn't love. It's economics dressed up as emotion. And it doesn't stop with money. Some will use the kids too, not as children, but as pieces on a board. I've seen men hit with lies just to tilt a custody case. I've watched a man be told he should step up and be a father to a child that wasn't his, just because she thought guilt could still move him. The desperation in those moments is something fierce. It's wild how far someone will go to avoid facing the consequences of their own decisions. Eventually, a brutal truth lands hard. People who couldn't control you emotionally will try to control you legally. People who couldn't keep you small with guilt will try to keep you small with court dates, paperwork, and drama. That's when a man realizes he isn't fighting for love anymore. He's fighting for his life. Once you see that clearly, you stop treating it like a relationship problem. You start treating it like what it is, a survival issue. Part 8. The weight you don't show. The part that cuts deepest, deeper than the money or the lies or the legal games, is the toll it takes on you inside. Not the version of you the world sees, but the one you sit with when the house is quiet and no one's asking how you're doing. Men don't just lose partners in this, they lose parts of themselves, and the world doesn't give men many places to set that down. I've sat with men who looked solid from the outside. Good jobs, steady tone, calm faces, and watched their eyes break when they finally said it. I don't know who I am anymore. That's what betrayal really does. It doesn't just end the relationship, it shakes your sense of reality. You replay moments over and over, searching for signs you missed. You question your judgment, your instincts, your worth. You fall asleep with questions and wake up with the same ones waiting. One man told me he couldn't sleep for months, not because he missed her, but because he couldn't make sense of the life he thought he had. He said it felt like waking up in a stranger's house, everything familiar, nothing true. Another told me the hardest part wasn't losing her, it was losing the version of himself he was when he believed in the relationship. No one really sees that. Not your coworkers, not casual friends, sometimes not even your family. They see the surface, the man who shows up, who keeps moving, who doesn't scream. But inside, you're rebuilding from ashes no one knows are still warm. Slowly, painfully, you learn a quiet truth. The wound wasn't created the day she left. It was created by how deeply you trusted before she did. And healing doesn't start when you move on. It starts the moment you finally stop pretending it didn't hurt. Part 9. When reality comes back around. Here's the thing about all of this. The fantasy, the blame, the control, the chaos. It never ends where they think it will. People who set fire to their own house always seem sure the smoke will follow someone else. They walk away, convinced life will reward their bravery, convinced the grass will stay green simply because they decided it should be. But reality doesn't bend to anyone's self-story. It waits, quiet, patient. Then it shows up with the bill. I've seen people walk out full of confidence and return years later carrying regret. Not the loud, dramatic kind with sobbing apologies. The quiet kind. The kind that sits in their eyes when they finally see what they actually lost. One woman told me she thought divorce would look like the shows she watched. Freedom, fun, a fresh start. Instead, she wound up in a small apartment, going on empty dates with men who treated her like a pit stop, arguing with kids who didn't understand why their family had to explode. She said, "This isn't what I signed up for." But you don't get to sign up only for the parts of a decision you like. When regret lands, they almost always reach back. Not to truly rebuild, but to soften the blow, to see if there's still a soft place to fall. They ask if you still care, if there's still a chance, if the door is still open. But the man they left isn't the man standing there anymore. He walked through fire, he rebuilt himself, he learned the lesson the hard way. Not everyone deserves a second shot at the life they threw away. And once you truly understand that, you stop letting the past knock like it still owns the key. Part 10. The defense that saves you. When the storm finally settles, you don't rise with rage, you rise with clarity. You stop trying to decode her choices. Stop trying to fix what was never yours to fix. Stop reaching back into a past built on half-truths. Instead, you move forward with a calm you didn't have before, a quieter sense of who you are now. And that's when you learn what the real defense against manipulation actually is. It isn't anger. It isn't revenge. It isn't proving anything to anyone. It's becoming the kind of man who no longer reacts to chaos at all. You speak only when it matters. You pull your energy in close. You protect your peace because now you know its price. You stay grounded even when someone tries to drag you back into an old version of yourself. Slowly, you stop fearing their next move, not because they changed, but because you did. You've seen their worst. You survived it. You rebuilt from it. And once a man knows he can stand back up, their power over him fades. There's a quiet moment when you realize you're truly done. Not bitter, not vengeful, Just done. You've outgrown the version of you who needed their approval. You've stepped into the man you were supposed to be all along. And brother, that's the real win. The storm didn't break you. It revealed you. Thank you for walking through this with me. If any part of this hit something real in you, share your story. Somewhere, there's another man sitting alone in the dark, thinking he's the only one living this, and your truth might be the line that pulls him back to himself.